The MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship 2019.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Pembrey, the venue for the second of our 2019 MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship round. Division 1 Championship leader is Ryan Smith, tied on points with David Jenkins. In Division 2 it's Luke Garrett leading from Steve Powell. Before racing gets underway, let's nip down into the paddock and catch up with some of the latest gossip. David, superstar here at Pembrey, double pole.
Yeah, no, great qualifying session for us. We looked at the data overnight, made a few little changes, and then went out and did 2 great laps straight from the off, where the truck was cold, the tyres were right, the circuit was still in good order, so absolutely maximised it.
Ryan, joint championship leader on points, but you had the 2 wins at Brands Hatch, so you were the first driver to rack up that second win of the season. Not a bad start, and here we are at Pembrey. There was talk that you might not be here, but we're glad to see you here.
Yeah, I've just got new truck. We're building a new truck, so obviously all my energy's going into that. We've probably mistreated the old truck, thinking it wasn't going to be, the new truck was going to be ready, and going to get round table now, look at some data, see what's happening with the beast. So hopefully we'll have some good races.
Looks like it's going to be that way. David Jenkins on pole in Division 1 ahead of Ryan Smith. The returning Simon Reed third. In Division 2, Luke Garrett is ahead of Simon Cole, looking good in the beast. John Bowler in third, and Eric Forstrom fourth ahead of Brad Smith and Adam Bint.
Simon, good to see you here at Pembrey. The beast behaving herself at the moment?
Yeah, she seems all right. We was a bit unlucky at Brands Hatch. We just put a new engine and gearbox in it, cut down the smoke from last year, and we had a load of teething issues. A silly little fault when we was winning a race as well, which was a bit disappointing, but no, she seems to be back on the pace again, a little bit to catch Luke, but we're getting there.
Division 2 looks so competitive again this year, and that is carrying forward, isn't it, into this round?
Yeah, we're all close. Everybody's stepped the mark up this year, and the trucks are getting closer to Division 1, because the step is quite... A couple of seasons ago, the step was near enough impossible from Division 2 to Division 1. It's just the expense and the speed, but they seem to be coming slowly. So we're progressing on very well, Division 2 is.
The first race of the weekend was Division 2, and another win for championship leader Luke Garrett, with Eric Forstrom, the Flying Finn, in second position. John Bowler maintained third. There was some great action all the way through the 15-minute race, and it was Garrett that took the flag. In Division 1, good action again, some sideways motoring down into the hairpin by John Newell. Simon Reed had a trip on the grass, sadly wound up in a DNF for him. It was Ryan Smith who took the honours from Newell and Mark Taylor.
Adam, first chance to catch up with you this year. Obviously you had problems at Brands, so let's turn the clock back and tell us what did happen at Brands.
Yeah, we've done a full engine rebuild. We had new head, new pistons, new injectors, new turbo, and we had an engine issue that made the engine overheat and pick up on the piston liners, so we've had to go back from Brands Hatch and rebuild the engine again, and we've come out today and it's performing how it used to, so we're happy.
Good to see Binty getting some points on the board in race 1, and he starts back on row 5. John Powell and Trevor Martin on the front, Paul Rivette and Brad Smith row 2. There is Binty on row 5 with Steve Powell behind him after non-starting in race number 1. Away we go for the first reverse grid race of the weekend. Flying start from the outside there, black and blue. Paul Rivette trying to pass Trevor Martin as they go down into Hatchets. Rivette's got his nose in front. He'll maybe stick to the outside line and go for a sweep. He does. Trevor Martin in second. All giving each other room. They've all got through the tightest corner on track. Hats off to them for that. A spectacular start in the sunshine here as John Bowler looks on the inside line now. Trevor Martin loses a bit of bodywork. We've got the 16 machine of Brad Smith goes up the inside line. John Powell chasing. Then Eric Forstrom in the bonneted Sisu, the number 50 truck, the orange and white machine. So Brad Smith third, and Paul Rivette, the reigning, remember, Renault UK Clio Cup champion, multi-champion in that discipline, switches to trucks full-time this year and was a regular on the podium at Brands Hatch, 3 out of 4. The Tacosys MAN leading the field, Trevor Martin in second, side by side for third place at the moment, and John Bowler is there from Brad Smith in the 16. All of these drivers that we're seeing out front capable of podium positions. It's probably fair to say that the entire field is capable of getting a podium, particularly with reverse grid races in the offing. Remember, we have changed the race format slightly this year. We'll cover that more for you as the weekend progresses here. What a start though for Paul Rivette from row 2, really making that count. Simon Cole in the Beast about to challenge Eric Forstrom. Right behind him we've got a double battle there between Luke Garrett on the outside, the Black 5 of Adam Bint, both champions, and of course Steve Powell in the yellow HGV Direct MAN behind as well. He is a former champion too. And that tells you that the drivers stick with this championship. They really love their truck racing, as do we, whether it's Division 1 or Division 2. And Garrett looks to the inside line of Binty, which will convert to the outside for this corner. Forstrom goes through. As Binty got through, not quite sure. Trevor Martin side by side here with Graham Powell, who looks on the outside line. This is for 4th place. Powell having to work the hard way round. And again, Trevor Martin giving him room, so the fans here certainly enjoying that. A little bit more truck bodywork flying off there. So Trevor Martin has been in the wars in the 19, and this battle continues. Look at John Powell working hard here on the outside line, coming into Honda corner and has just about got through. So a grand job there by John Powell, up into 4th place. At the moment it's Paul Rivette from John Bowler. There's Garrett and Steve Powell trying to work their way through the field. Meanwhile, Eric Forstrom looks to the outside line. Trevor Martin now coming under pressure from Simon Cole. The Beast looking a lot happier this weekend. Simon picked up 9 points at Brands Hatch in the opening round of the year and looking to add significantly to that total this weekend. This is race number 2. He did add 12 points on in race number 1, so a good finish for Simon. 4th position in race number 1. Garrett, Forstrom and Bowler was the way they finished. Luke Garrett also picking up the point for fastest lap in that one, and Garrett all over the back of Cole at the moment in the reverse grid races. A lot of overtaking to do. The fans on the banks here absolutely loving the racing as Garrett goes down the inside line now, side by side with Simon Cole. Cole's got more momentum though with that wider sweep, hangs on to it. Trevor Martin in front, but Cole's looking down the inside line of Martin, who comes across, grabs the line. The 41 truck goes back to the outside line. See whether Simon in the Mercedes can make a bit of headway here into Trevor Martin. Trevor, fair to say, racing older machinery. Meanwhile, at the front, Paul Rivette has got away. Fastest laps with Luke Garrett at the moment, but Paul Rivette here potentially heading for his first race win. This is day 1 of our 2-day meeting. Still got a big crowd out here today on the banks right the way around the circuit to soak up the first couple of races for the Truck Championship and all the support formally who are qualifying and having their early races as well. Binty now around the outside of Trevor Martin, so Binty looking to stick a few more points on the tally as well. Trevor Martin not giving up without a fight and very tight at the hairpin, but giving the other competitors room is Trevor Martin. Loses out though to Binty, and Adam Bint in the Volvo White Aerodyne continues on his way to try and make a little bit of headway through the field. There's Garrett still with the fastest lap, chasing Eric Forstrom. John Powell in his DAF. There's a bigger variety of manufacturers represented in Division 2. MAN, DAF, Sisu, Mercedes, Volvo White, Scania, Seddon Atkinson. Superb array of trucks, and again producing some very good truck racing. 15 points, remember, for the race winner, extra point for fastest lap. The place points decrease by 1 point per place for the top 15. So everybody's going to score points in this race. Brad Smith heads down the main straight here. Luke Garrett looks up the inside line of Eric Forstrom. Eric, one of his main contenders for this year. And the fin is past. Good move by Luke Garrett down the inside. Very neatly done into Hatchett's hairpin. So makes up a position. Still Paul Rivette at the front, making good his reverse start from the outside of the second row of the grid. An absolute flying start for him. Of course, Paul with loads of circuit racing experience over the years. I don't think has done any racing here that I can recall. We'll have to catch up with Paul and talk about that later on in the programme. But I can't remember. Certainly Clio Cup haven't raced here. Forstrom still trying to fight to hold on to Luke Garrett, who's working his way through the field. So through goes John Bowler second. Third place at the moment, Brad Smith. Luke Garrett is next up from Eric Forstrom, then John Powell, Simon Cole, Steve Powell back of shot. Steve getting his first racing of the weekend. But the leader is on the last lap now. Paul Rivett is heading for a potential first victory. 3 podia for him at Brands Hatch. And the WDE Motorsport prepared Taco Sys MAN has driven superbly. This is a real challenge for Rivett coming in, not only for him, but for the other drivers to have to try and match him over the course of the season as well. And it harks back to the days when you had the likes of Steve Parrish, Barry Lee and company all racing trucks as well. And it really has added to the mix. So, Rivett through Honda for the last time. And there's the checker. Paul Rivett takes his first win in the MV Commercial British Truck Racing Championship here at Pembrey. Battling on down the field, John Powell chasing Brad Smith for 5th place. Is John going to make a late move at Honda? I don't think he's going to be able to do it, but he's very, very close indeed. Steve Powell in close proximity as well. It was Bowler second, Luke Garrett third. There is Eric Forstrom at the head, just getting into 4th place. Brad Smith gets 5th ahead of John Powell. Steve Powell in 7th. Simon Cole 8th from Adam Bint, and Trevor Martin in 10th. Finishes completed by Jim Bennett.
Paul Rivett, how about that? Many congratulations. What a pleasure to see your first win in British truck racing.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, I really didn't expect that we were going to get it there, but once I got that gap at the start, I just did my best to try and manage it, and that's definitely the best I've driven the truck so far. So, yeah, it's fantastic to get that first win. You know, just got to thank Wayne and all the guys in the team so much for all their hard work. They've put so much into this.
A double podium for you this weekend, and that was hard earned because you were at the back of the reverse section on the result of your first race.
Yeah, I think we started in 6th. Obviously, we first beat Closmeister, battled our way through, and then got a good lead, I think, from what I could see in my rear view.
Great to welcome another race-winning driver, a front runner, back into the paddock. Simon, welcome back. What kept you from Brands?
We've been busy at work. It's a bit full on, to be honest with you, and to be honest with you, we weren't actually coming out to do the season. We were actually going to have a year off. A bit of a juggling act at times, I must admit, you know, but the job's got to carry on, and we try and escape. I suppose it's work from work, you could say, really. As we're just stripping the back end of the truck. We don't get a lot of rest on the weekend as it is, but no, it brings the team together.
The second Division 1 race of the weekend about to get underway. David Jenkins on the front rank after finishing 4th in race number 1. Mark Taylor to his outside. His teammate already looking to the outside line is Ryan Smith. John Newell tucked away out of sight at the moment in white and blue. On board with John Newell coming down into Hatchett's hairpin and challenging Mark Taylor. He's on the grass here. He's going to go straight on, bang, into the side of David Jenkins. Round goes Ryan Smith on the grass. Smith's on the grass, he's going to recover. David Jenkins just sneaks back into the lead. John Newell is chasing 89 Simon Reed, who is in 3rd place. Mark Taylor at the back. It was all action off the front. And it is David Jenkins from pole position. Remember, Jenkins finished in 4th place in race number 1. So Ryan Smith moves now 4 points clear of Jenkins in the championship, finished 3 places ahead of him, plus the extra point for fastest lap in race number 1, but is chasing Jenkins, who undoubtedly has the pace in the Hiab machine. So it's Hiab MAN being chased by Taylor's MAN. I'll tell you what, Ryan Smith, look at the gap that they've got over Simon Reed. Wonderful to see Simon Reed back in the championship. 3rd place for him. Then it's John Newell. Mark Taylor in the 81 is still running as well, but a little way back. Good to see Mark Taylor getting a podium in race number 1. A second career podium for him. Look at the dent on the side of the 18 track. It was a heavy coming together. And we've got bodywork on track. So Jenkins has soaked up the pressure here from Ryan Smith. Race long. Ryan just cannot work out where to put the one truck to get through on the inside line. Jenkins has got fastest lap here, so will at the moment pull 2 points back on Ryan Smith's championship lead. But Smith knows that by finishing second, it's good points rather than risking anything. The only other thing he could have done is maybe gone for fastest lap, but he's been following in the wheel tracks of David Jenkins race long, but now has a look. But I think he might be too far back to chase Jenkins down in the closing stages, and it's the Digraph Hiab MAN that goes into the final turning lead position with Ryan Smith in second place. We'll see whether Ryan can get a flying lap here and grab the fastest lap. It's Jenkins that takes the win. Ryan Smith second. Jenkins gets fastest lap too. Simon Reed is in third place ahead of John Newell. Mark Taylor completing the finishes in fifth place, and that narrowed the championship gap to 2 points between Smith and Jenkins.
I think we were both going as hard as we could. I had to defend from Ryan a couple of times. He took 4 off me yesterday, so that was 1 for the position. I don't know where the fastest lap one might have just gone there to me. Yeah, so that's 2 back. So that's the first 2 of the 4 back today, yeah.
To be fair, Dave didn't really make a mistake, so we had a lunge. We couldn't really pass him at that stage. We was faster, but sometimes being faster didn't always mean you can overtake somebody. And it were a little bit of cat and mouse, but as I say, he didn't make a mistake, and when somebody don't make a mistake, don't worry about what's happening with our truck. He did a good job and probably deserved the win.
They are over the moon with that, to be honest with you. It was quite a struggle, to be fair. We're having problems with brake cooling at the minute, and trying to get on top of it, and yeah, having a bit of fun. But no, other than that, can't fault the result, and yeah.
Whether it's Division 1 or Division 2, all the drivers working so hard to get more out of their trucks and entertain the crowds here at Pembrey. This is Division 2, third race of the weekend out of 4 for them. Luke Garrett starts on the front with Simon Cole, with Brad Smith and Eric Forstrom on row 2. Paul Rivett at the back of the field had problems and was not able to get out in qualifying, as you might remember. And here we go, Eric Forstrom taking to the grass a little bit to try and pass Simon Cole. This is the run down into Hatchets, thinks better of it, nips back in. So it's Luke Garrett that leads them away from Simon Cole. Steve Powell going round the outside line and trying to make up places here, but he's checked up because Eric Forstrom's got a problem. Forstrom slowly exiting the chicane. Steve Powell saw that though. Nice bit of driving by Powell. He's got Adam Bint up ahead of him, and Steve's run round the outside line. He was really trying to make progress, and it looked like he was going to, but checked up. As soon as he's cleared it, back on the gas, and now chasing Adam Bint. 2 former champions together. Reigning champion out front though from Simon Cole in the 41. John Bowler is in third place. John and Luke Garrett, the only 2 drivers to have secured 2 podium finishes so far. John Powell looking around the outside line there of his brother Steve. So they make such a spectacular sight, especially off the starts here. Jim Bennett at the back of the field. Well, not quite at the back, because Eric Forstrom's got going again. So the Sisu is back with us, which is good news. Binty and Powell having a good race of it down into Honda, the final turn on the lap, which they'll power out of. And now Paul Rivett looking to make a move here on Brad Smith. Rivett in black and blue. Brad Smith, race winner of course last season, still in the mix as well. There is Simon Cole, who's out last weekend at Linden Circuit promoting the championship and indeed Team Hard. As John Powell has a little excursion wide. He was trying to get past Binty and his brother, but loses a bit of momentum there. Eric Forstrom back a shot, trying to close in on Jim Bennett at the moment. Good to see Jim, the man from Bungay, Norfolk, in his Seddon Atkinson, steadily picking up points, as is Adam Bint at the moment. 15 points for the meeting so far after that one start at Brands Hatch and non-finish for him. Paul Rivett closing in on Brad Smith. Rivett now second in the championship standings, snatching that in race number 1, with Steve Powell having had problems in qualifying. And again, Brad Smith coming under pressure. Has Rivett got enough of a run here? Yes, he has. So Rivett goes through, makes up a position. Still out front, it's Luke Garrett from Simon Cole. There is Adam Bint, who is, yeah, just speculating whether he's coming into the pits. He is, so it's a pit visit. Now, is that going to be diagnostic or retirement? It ain't going to be too many points, sadly, for Adam, but hopefully they can sort him out ready for race 4. As Simon Cole continues to try and chase Luke Garrett, the race leader. Garrett again with fastest lap on lap 2, the first flying lap, 1 minute 14.02. John Bowler looks like having another podium here. Remember, the format for racing this season in the British Truck Racing Association, brought to you by MV Commercial, is that races 1 and 3 start with the fastest drivers off the front, and then races 2 and 4 are reversed based on the finishing positions of the preceding respective race. There is Jim Bennett, nice close-up of the 28 Seddon Atkinson. Jim, a veteran of British truck racing, like Trevor Martin, racing one of the older specification machines. And look at that, getting a move on up the inside line there. John Powell passes his brother. They're both trying to get past Trevor Martin as well. And John Powell, what a manoeuvre that was. Bit of brotherly love going on between the two. Eric Forstrom trying to close up, but John Powell now has got the inside line. Steve cedes the position. He'll fight back for sure, Steve Powell. One feels that Steve's starting to get a bit of momentum for this meeting. This is race 3, as you said, had the problems with the rear springs earlier on and was busy trying to fix that, which they did. The race leader, Luke Garrett, through and out of shot and clear of Simon Cole in second place. John Bowler is still in third. So John Powell now past Trevor Martin. Trevor, who has been taking this corner tight, now goes wide, still allowing Steve Powell room, trying to get a bit of a sweep to hold on to the position, which he does. Eric Forstrom looking to get in the mix as well, just behind Steve Powell. It's going to be some hard-earned points here for Trevor Martin. And the man from Westbury, the Martins Transport Scania, working hard, but runs wide there through Clubhouse Corner, where you can actually watch from the clubhouse on the inside and watch these trucks get a huge lean on. There's some real body roll that to be seen through that corner. It's a very spectacular place to watch. Look at the lead that Luke Garrett has got. So Garrett's in front. Here comes Simon Cole in the Team Hard Mercedes, known as the Beast, as you've heard. Then it's John Bowler in third position. Those three well clear at the moment. Onto the last lap goes Luke Garrett, still lapping in the 1:14 bracket. In fact, we've got, just checking through the time, with the top 3 drivers all lapping in the 1:14s. Another 3 drivers in the 1:15s, which is why the reverse grid races can put a few surprises up, as Brad Smith now being caught by Steve Powell, who's having a late run. We've lost John Powell now, sadly, from the mix. So John Powell, sadly, a retirement, but it's going to be Luke Garrett to take this one from Simon Cole. Quick look back to Brad Smith coming under pressure from Steve Powell, and Steve looking to try and take 5th place at the moment. Brad in 5th, ahead of him Paul Rivette is in 4th, and that's from the back. Rivette goes through shot. Brad Smith next up. Brad Smith was 4th coming into the meeting, still on 65 points, which I think has him in 3rd place at the moment, so not a bad meeting so far for Brad Smith. Here is Simon Cole. John Bowler trying to reel him in, just having a quick look to see who's the quickest of the two. Bowler is the quicker of the 2 drivers over the course of the race. Best lap for John Bowler on lap 7, as Luke Garrett takes another win. Garrett's 2nd win of the meeting here at Pembrey, and a bit of showboating from Simon Cole, who is here to entertain as well as race. So too is John Bowler. Hats off to them on the Honda corner for providing a little bit of late entertainment, but it's Luke Garrett that takes another win, extends the championship lead, breaks the 100-point barrier as well by my mathematics here. Here's how they finished: Garrett from Cole and Bowler, Paul Rivette 4th from Brad Smith and Steve Powell, Eric Forstrom in 7th ahead of Trevor Martin, and Jim Bennett completing the finishes.
Finishing is absolutely key, isn't it? Because one non-finish would just knock so many points out of the equation for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because our point system's quite close, there's only a point in between each position. Yeah, one DNF could potentially lose you the championship.
Simon, that's where we used to see you up there on the podium, cracking drive.
About time. Still not right where we want to be. I think we've got the pace in this truck to keep up with Luke, but we haven't even done the suspension, springs or anything yet. We just put a new engine in it, new tank, and that's what we've had teething problems. We know the pace was there, the individual lap time showed that yesterday and qualifying 2nd, but just the race pace wasn't there. But that proves today to me that it is there, gives me a bit of belief back.
Joined by Richard Gunner, who's looking after the emissions tests for us. This is quite an evocative issue, isn't it, in any motorsport at the moment? But tell us about what you're doing and why for the British Truck Racing Association Championship.
We were approached by the BTRA to assist them in lowering levels of particularly smoke, which is the most measurable reduction we can make initially. With an environmental focus, we're driving cleaner and cleaner road vehicles now. So we've started taking some measurements from some trucks. We're introducing some different fuels. Certas is supplying some fuel for the programme, a gas to liquid fuel. It's a new generation fuel. It sits in a similar category to biofuels with a new specification, slightly different to standard road diesel. The cetane ratings are higher. Performance is similar, but the fuel burns quicker and more fully, reducing the amount of particulates that are coming out of the exhaust. We trialled some trucks at Brands Hatch, and the results are really positive. There's actually a full report on that testing on the BTRA website in the news section. So if people wanted sort of facts and figures, but we were seeing values of around about 3 on the K value for the 2 trucks behind us. We reduced that down to about 1.8 on one of the trucks, just by changing fuel and some Lucas additives as well.
Third race for Division 1 with Dave Jenkins starting on pole position from Ryan Smith. They come down into Hatchett's hairpin. John Newell in behind with Mark Taylor. Side by side go the 2 main championship contenders. Jenkins goes out wide. Ryan Smith has to go on the grass. His teammate behind goes out in sympathy as well onto the grass, recovers in front of John Newell. There is Smith now. Ryan Smith chasing in second place. Synchronised spins between Taylor and Newell. Mark Taylor and John Newell both have a spin. Are they going to recover from it? Newell looks like he might be stranded there, perhaps trying to find a gear or some drive. Let's hope he can get going. He has got going, he's got moving. So John Newell in 4th place, and that truck's been in the wars. This is only race 3. We've got another one to come after this, but it's race leader David Jenkins. Here is Jenks out front from Ryan Smith, so the battle between these two. 2 points between them in the championship after race 2. And what a weekend of sparring they have had. Jenkins leads in the Hiab Digraph MAN, the Taylor's UK International machine following. So Jenkins still there. We've got the black and orange flag going out there. That's for Mark Taylor, who's got a bumper off on his truck, so he'll have to come in to have that removed. Oh, it's removed itself. And well, Mark may still have to come in. Now we've got Ryan Smith in front with Dave Jenkins it's almost as if Ryan's let him back past. Maybe there was perhaps a yellow flag infringement or something like that, but that was a sedate repass. The 81 truck makes the now unnecessary visit to pit lane, but for safety's sake, I guess, is checked over. There is John Newell, who is now in 3rd position in this race. And the leaders hard at it, and look at Ryan Smith coming through on the inside line, barges his way past David Jenkins. He wanted the lead back, and Ryan Smith has got the lead back, pushed his way through. There was half a gap there. That's a centre move, isn't it? I think a lot of people call that. And there's the checker. It's Ryan Smith who wins again. 2 wins for Ryan Smith today. Dave Jenkins is in 2nd place, goes back in front of him. My goodness me, drama. And the championship remains at 2 points because Jenkins got the fastest lap of the race as well. Smith from Jenkins, John Newell in 3rd, Mark Taylor classified in 4th, non-finished for Simon Reed.
That was a race of catch-up for you, wasn't it, really, John?
Yeah, it certainly was. Brakes went on me again in turn 1 on start, locked everything up, there was nothing, and then all of a sudden there was everything. Missed the gearing, so I ended up at the back. Then come through, Mark made a mistake in turn 2. Come up inside of him, I seen him closing, so I went to grass, and then we just got locked up together, spun, and then had to get back going again.
Not only do we have a reverse grid race, but we've got the Division 1s and Division 2s together on circuit. Mark Taylor and John Newell in Division 1 at the front from David Jenkins and Ryan Smith. Simon Reed, a non-starter with turbo problems. Division 2, reverse headed by Trevor Martin and Eric Forstrom from Steve Powell, Brad Smith, Paul Rivette, John Bowler, Simon Cole and Luke Garrett, with Jim Bennett, John Powell and Adam Bint due to complete the grid. On board with Brad Smith, who is looking at the front runners in Division 2, but it's lights out here at Pembrey for the last time of our first visit for 2019. Quick start by Steve Powell. Paul Rivette goes down the inside line. John Bowler in 14 to the outside. Out front with the Division 1s, it's Mark Taylor that leads them into Hatchets. Dave Jenkins challenging John Newell. Jenkins in black, Newell in blue and white. In fact, Newell goes for the sweep round the outside line of Mark Taylor and grabs the lead. So John Newell leads. David Jenkins challenging for second and looking up the inside line of Mark Taylor, and coming up the inside of Jenkins now is Ryan Smith from fourth, challenging for third. The first two in the championship separated by 2 points coming into this race. That potentially is 1 point more for Ryan Smith going up into third place ahead of his arch championship rival. It's Eric Forstrom leading the Division 2s there in the bonneted orange truck, followed by Steve Powell, who's had a great start. Looks like Steve really has got the momentum going in the latter part of this meeting. On board with Brad Smith, through goes championship leader Luke Garrett. Luke, the first driver in the championship Division 1 or Division 2 to break the 100 points barrier. He's on 107. Ryan Smith then followed it up with 102 in the third Division 1 race. Dave Jenkins on 100 points. So we got three of them point centurions already in only our second meeting of the year. And it's John Newell leading, Ryan Smith second, David Jenkins, then Mark Taylor, Eric Forstrom trying to close in on the back of the Division 1 battle at the moment, and the Div 2, certainly podium-wise, squabbling it out with Luke Garrett looking to the outside line. On board with Brad Smith, who is passed by John Powell, the man from Tunbridge, who retired from race 3. But the truck looking in good fettle here in this one at the moment. Great to see both sets of trucks. Super decision by the British Truck Racing Association to combine the grid in this reverse grid race. It's the finale of the weekend, and superb for the thousands of race fans that are here this weekend watching in glorious weather. On board with Brad Smith again, chasing John Powell, who seems to be on a little bit of a mission here, heading through the S's. Brad Smith chasing Powell. That's the one with our onboard footage. Out front, I can tell you, Ryan Smith's ahead now of John Newell. So Ryan Smith from row 2 goes through into the lead, heading for a third win of the weekend. Ryan Smith, he had 2 at Brands Hatch, so he'll see this as an improvement and he'll extend the championship. It all depends on championship points and fastest laps as well. Remember, extra point available for that. So it's Smith from Newell. Now looking down the inside line is Dave Jenkins, who is hard on the brakes, but Jenks can't quite see the room there. Wants to finish the race, so doesn't get into contact. This is allowing Ryan Smith to get away a little bit. Mark Taylor looking tail happy behind. Hasn't been able to repeat the podium that he had in race number 1, but he's gaining experience. This is Mark Taylor's first proper race meeting here. He made his debut here last year in the very wet, flooded conditions, you might remember, with Storm Callum. We've got it off there in Division 2, and that is Trevor Martin, who recovers, gets on track. Brad Smith giving us a good shot of that. There is Simon Cole in the Beast. And here is the view of the overall leader, Ryan Smith. David Jenkins is building momentum, and we'll look down the inside line of John Newell. Mark Taylor fourth. This is the Division 2 battle now, headed by Eric Forstrom in the bonneted truck, coming under pressure from Steve Powell. Paul Rivette's right behind as well. Who's your money on here? We know Forstrom's quick. We know Steve Powell is quick. We also know that Paul Rivette is quick as well. Here's the battle for second place. Jenkins has got the inside line. This should be second position as they come into Hatchet's hairpin. Jenkins teed this up nice and early, got the inside line. John Newell knows that the 69 machine is now ahead of him, and Newell will try and fight back if he can, but it's still good points for John Newell, who's on 87 points after race 3 here, third in the championship. Meanwhile, Division 2 championship leader Luke Garrett challenging John Bowler for fourth position. Brad Smith busy chasing Trevor Martin still in the 19, and Trevor's driven well through the weekend. We've seen him defending, racing hard, and driver of the meeting points wise I think has got to be, aside from Luke Garrett, who's extended his championship lead, John Bowler, who's moved up from 8th in the championship. We're on race 3 and he's moved up to 4th in the standings, just a point down on Brad Smith coming into this race. So John Bowler really on a bit of a mission. So Mark Taylor just disappears out of shot. Eric Forstrom still in the lead of Division 2. And Steve Powell has got to be mindful of Paul Rivette behind him, but also at the same time trying to close down on the fin. He is getting closer, and he's looking at the inside line and goes for it and squeezes through at Honda corner. To be fair, Eric Forstrom left half a gap there, well, a full gap really, to be honest. And Forstrom is demoted to second. Steve Powell leads the race in Division 2. Division 1 front runners are through. Ryan Smith, Dave Jenkins, John Newell in third. Steve Powell now the leader, and you can see Paul Rivette's come through as well. So it's Powell from Rivette. Luke Garrett still challenging for third place. That's John Bowler in the 14 still there at the moment. Luke Garrett is having a tussle there with Simon Cole, who gets it all sideways and looking up the inside. You heard Simon saying they haven't fully sorted that truck yet, and they've got things to do, and he reckons he can match the pace of Luke Garrett. We know that Steve Powell can, and we know that Paul Rivette will, as they get more out of that WDE Motorsport prepared truck. There is John Powell, another driver who has had plenty of wins here at Pembrey as well. And Eric Forstrom sadly is out. There was a little bit of telltale smoke when Steve Powell went past him, and he becomes our first retirement of the last race of the weekend here at Pembrey. Good scrap here still between Trevor Martin and Brad Smith. Luke Garrett still all over the back of John Bowler, and Johnny's not making it easy, but looks up the inside line now, hasn't quite got the momentum. Remember, the top speed is limited on these trucks to 100 miles per hour, so it's about how you get in and out of the corners and how the truck handles as to whether you can build momentum to have a nibble at one of the trucks in front. Rivette goes through in second. This is the scrap for third. Garrett having to go right up to the pit wall to try and get past John Bowler, and this could bring Simon Cole into the mix as well. Garrett now has got fed up with the inside, goes for the outside line in the 42. Let's see whether Bowler's having any of it. No, he isn't. On the grass, fella, on the grass. He's not coming through. Garrett goes wide. Simon Cole coming up. John Powell coming up into the mix as well in the white and blue 6 machine. This is superb truck racing as ever. There is Bowler still in that third position. Third position for Division 2. It's still Ryan Smith leading out front though from David Jenkins in second. Paul Rivette still in second. Steve Powell, the race leader for Division 2. This is going to put Steve Powell back into third place in the championship. Well, he won't thank you for saying that early, because he was blighted by a problem at the start of the meeting. He won't want me putting the mockers on him, possibly winning this one. Trying to close in on Mark Taylor in Division 1. And Paul Rivette is closing up on Steve Powell. Luke Garrett's got the fastest lap in Division 2. He's up into third. John Bowler in fourth. It's John Powell, Brad Smith and Trevor Martin. We've lost Eric Forstrom. We've lost Simon Cole, sadly, from the race as well. And out front, Ryan Smith leading that man, David Jenkins in P2. So Ryan Smith will edge a little bit further ahead if things stay the way they are ahead of David Jenkins in the points standings. Brad Smith still chasing Trevor Martin. This superb shot of them coming out of Honda along the main straight and down into Hatchett's hairpin. We'll have to go hard on the brakes, and it just turns in very slightly to the right before you get into the run into the hairpin. Plenty of runoff there, and Brad Smith looking on the inside line here of Trevor Martin. Closes up as you'd expect under braking. Can't quite get the job done to get into position. Here is Steve Powell up ahead of Paul Rivette. Paul will be buoyed by that first career win in this championship. And Riv's best lap, a 1 minute 15.03. Steve Powell's best lap, a 1:15.3. So the gap seems to be coming down between the two of them. Luke Garrett is in third with fastest lap in class, and this potentially, I think, if it stays like this, Luke Garrett will move on to 122 points. Paul Rivette will move on to 98. Steve Powell back in potentially to third place. He's the man that will lead the Division 1 standings as we leave Pembrey, assuming he finishes this race, having broken the 100 points barrier in race 3. Rivette's still closing in, and Steve Powell will be very well aware of the calibre of the driver that's closing in on him. The Tacosis machine, fresh from 3 podia at Brands Hatch, a win here. Paul racing his normal number 22, a 5th, a 1st and a 4th. So Only the one podium for Rivette so far. Looks like it could be podium 2 here, maybe win 2, because he's closing in on Steve Powell as this race draws towards the closing stages. It's Steve Powell still out front here in Division 2. Paul Rivette trying to hunt him down. Luke Garrett, who's had to come through from the back of the pack in 3rd place. Is going to be valuable points for Luke. It's really what you do in the reverse grid races that stand your championship in good stead. A, finishing, B, managing to finish as high as you can. As look at the battle going on for 4th place as well. A very good scrap, back of shot. John Bowler still in 4th, and John Powell is having a good go at him. So John Powell, who's trying to move up to 6 in the championship, he's a couple of points, or will be a couple of points shy of Eric Forstrom in the championship table here. So this hasn't been a bad meeting so far for John Powell, despite a couple of problems. John having a retirement in race 3. There's David Jenkins, 100% finishing record so far this year, as has Ryan Smith there in truck number 1. Jenkins is a little way down. Best lap for Ryan Smith on lap 3, 71.167. Jenkins' best lap, 71.192. Not huge amounts in it between the pair of them. John Newell still running in 3rd. His best lap, a 72.9 on lap 4. So his quickest lap slightly later than the 2 drivers ahead of him in the race, as we watch John Bowler, who, remember, has moved up to 4th in the championship, but does so having had a non-finish at Brands Hatch. There aren't any drop scores in this championship, but John Bowler now has been passed by John Powell, but John Bowler has been scoring very consistently in his race finishes, and if there were drop scores, would possibly be P2 in the championship, or possibly P3, but that's academic because we don't have them, and quite rightly so. It's all about finishing and finishing high up. So John Powell in 4th place, John Bowler 5th, Brad Smith and Trevor Martin still behind those 2. I'll tell you what, Steve Powell, I think, has had the wake-up call, because he's edged a little bit further, by my money, away from Paul Rivette in 2nd place, and Luke Garrett is starting to close down on Paul Rivette now. So the relentless work that the likes of Garrett, Powell and Rivette have to do in these reverse grid races. Look at the lean on as they go through the club corner. This may well help Steve Powell if Rivette starts to feel the pressure from Luke Garrett. It might occupy him enough maybe to take the pressure, if there is pressure, on Steve Powell, as Ryan Smith continues on his way out front. Trevor Martin immediately up ahead in the number 19. Trevor running in 6th position in Division 2 and on for some decent points again. Trevor's had a consistent weekend again. 100% finish at Brands Hatch, 100% finishes here as well this weekend at Pembrey. So good reliability from the Trevor Martin machine as Steve Powell comes through Honda. Paul Rivette a little bit tighter to the curb than either Powell ahead of him or indeed Luke Garrett behind him, but Garrett is flying and he's about to put in a challenge for 2nd position. He's looking on that inside line, so Garrett closing in. There is Mark Taylor still running in 4th position in the 81 truck, another driver with a 100% finishing record this year. Steve Powell gets a little bit tail happy there. Luke Garrett piling the pressure on Paul Rivette. These 3, as I said, were regulars on the podium at Brands Hatch. On to the last lap goes Ryan Smith, who's going to take 3 wins away from the Pembrey circuit here in Carmarthenshire, and that will set him up very nicely indeed for the 3rd event of the year, which is at Thruxton, the BARC's headquarters, and he, I know, will be looking forward to that. Look at the gap that he's got over David Jenkins, who comes around the hairpin now. Trevor Martin was next in shot, then David Jenkins, who doesn't look like he can do anything about Ryan Smith at the moment, but he's in 2nd place, as Luke Garrett all over the back now of Paul Rivette. Here they come in towards Honda corner for the penultimate time for the Division 2s, and Garrett's looking on the inside run here, trying to squeeze up on the inside line of Paul Rivette, and if he can get the momentum, he's got the line and will challenge. Now Rivette's trying to cut across in front, back with the race leader. He's closing on Brad Smith. Ryan Smith closing on Brad Smith, no relation, we hasten to add, and Garrett's through. Luke Garrett into P2. Paul Rivette still on the podium in 3rd. Now can Garrett close in on Steve Powell? We thought this was game over for Steve Powell up front. Luke Garrett's got a little bit of flapping front end on his truck. Checkered flag for Ryan Smith. Third weekend of the season for him. Just got ahead of Brad Smith. Second position in the race will go to David Jenkins. Trevor Martin there taking the checkered flag, finishes 7th in Division 2. And this the battle for the Division 1 lead. And it's Steve Powell who is there. Inset shows third place John Newell taking the checkered flag for Division 1. And is it going to be Steve Powell or Luke Garrett? Powell's got the upper hand at the moment and he's holding on to it, but Luke Garrett's trying to get a late run. Paul Rivette's still there in third. Here we come, and looking on the inside now is Luke Garrett. He goes to the inside, now switches to the outside line to try and go for the big burn up round the outside line, but heading towards the last corner on the last lap here at Pembrey, in towards Honda. And soaking up the pressure is Steve Powell, who's going to take his first win of the weekend, or is he? Because Luke Garrett is charging up on him, but no, it's Steve Powell that takes it. Powell takes the Division 2 win. Luke Garrett second, Paul Rivette in third place. John Powell will finish in fourth position in Division 2. A fine way for both classes to finish the weekend. And remember, that was the reverse grid race. There's some hard work by all concerned. The overall winner, though, was Ryan Smith, who takes the win and fastest lap. Second, Dave Jenkins. Third, John Newell from Mark Taylor. Steve Powell wins Division 2, ahead of Luke Garrett, Paul Rivette. John Powell next with John Bowler and Brad Smith, with Trevor Martin completing the finishers.
Quite superb, and a lovely drift afterwards as well to entertain the fans.
That's what it's about, isn't it? Without the fans, we wouldn't be here, and circuits wouldn't have us. Again, I'd like to thank Mark for the consistency and another well-organised event with the crowds especially, and Phil at Pembrey who's worked very hard to get the track in good condition, and I hope the spectators at home have enjoyed it.
Yeah, a very long hot weekend for us. We'll have to have a look and calculate, see how the points all pan out now, but very strong weekend for us. Yeah, only tiny little downside to the weekend was just not nicking that fastest lap. Then I think Brian was 300ths quicker than us in the early stages of the race, but ultimately he had more consistent long race pace than me as well, so that's something that we need to probably look at.
John, another podium, fairly straightforward for you?
Yeah, very straightforward this time. Got a good start, got off into the lead, and then Ryan come past me and then Dave Jenkins behind. There was no point holding them up, they were quicker than me, so I left them a little gap to go through and then just concentrated on doing my own times. Pretty straightforward.
Steve, that was a bit of a marathon, but congratulations on the win. Good to see you back on the top step.
Yeah, very pleased. We've had a hard weekend. We snapped a spring in qualifying, so we missed yesterday's first race. Then we had to start from the back in the second race and then the back in the third race. So yeah, to bring it home. I was hoping for a podium and really happy with the win, mate. Good race as well. Paul's getting good, and I knew Luke was coming as well, so I cut more laps, but I wasn't going to let him pass for sure. So really happy for the team.
Luke, that's what the fans come to see. Not you come second, but you come through the pack, because that's a difficult job in a long race. So tell us about it.
Yeah, obviously it is a difficult job, but it's the bit I enjoy, to be honest with you, because you get to race with all of them. So yeah, a bit gutted I didn't get Steve, but we were close. Maybe another lap, but yeah, I've had a great weekend. I think that was brilliant for the fans, to be honest with you. Yeah, let's hope we can continue it, to be fair.
Paul thought it was going to be another Rivette win, but in the reverse grid then, but not quite, but a great podium and a good race.
Yeah, it's a fantastic race, and I've really enjoyed racing with these guys out there, but I didn't quite have anything for Steve. He was quicker in all the right places, and we need to keep working on this truck and developing it, and Wayne and the guys have been working so hard in the workshop on it, they really have, and you're going to just watch this Tacos truck get faster and faster through the year. I'm going to get faster at driving it as well, and hopefully we'll become even more of a threat as the year goes on.
Ryan Smith leads Division 1 by 3 points from David Jenkins and John Newell. Mark Taylor in 4th, then Stuart Oliver, Ray Coleman, Clemens Hecker and Keith Sandbergen in 8th. The Division 2 standings headed by Luke Garrett, 24 points clear of Paul Rivette. Steve Powell back up into 3rd, ahead of John Bowler and Brad Smith.
Well, that's the closure of the second event of the 2019 MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship here at Pembrey. Ryan Smith continues to lead Division 1, Luke Garrett holds the lead in Division 2, and we're all going to reconvene at Thruxton in a few weeks' time. Please join us then.